All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your first community engagement project discussion session. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's a crowded room here at the Rec Center and everyone who is joining by live stream. Welcome to your discussion. And first, I want to recognize your council member, Josh Schulman, is here. If you could please stand and welcome. My name is Charnel Hearing, and with me is Jane Dittmar. We are with the Weldon Cooper Center of University of Virginia. And my role and our role here is to facilitate discussion and to hear from you. First, there's a couple of housekeeping items that we need to take care of that I always like to take care of as emergency exits. There is, of course, the exit where you entered. There's an exit to the left. I was told that if there's something happens, staff will be available to direct us where we need to go. Restrooms are out the door to your right. And during this session, if we could mute our cell phones or at least put them on vibrate, things do happen. And if you needed to take a call, you could just step outside to take that call. That would be greatly appreciated so everyone can hear. I will now turn it over to Jane.
So as Charnel said, our role is to facilitate your meeting. So we'll be here to help you do that. Your role is to, if you've just come to listen respectfully. And if it's here to comment, we're going to be helping you through that process as well. We will finish right on time. We're set up to have 90 minutes. Almost all of it will be input. The purpose of the meeting is to hear one question answered. And it's more of a reflection that we're asking for, or your city council's asking for, and that is they want to hear about your experience with city election system. So if you would look at your experiences, long or short, and reflect upon that, we will take that comment and that will help inform later decision-making that your city council has to go through. So we're going to hear first from you because you've made an effort to come out and sit with us tonight. After you're done, we're going to hear from our virtual audience. And then if there's any time left and the spirit moves, we can take some more comment from in here. We are going to have verbatim transcripts available after this. There's video. We will be taking takeaways from this meeting to reflect upon what we're hearing. And we'll be talking about actually how to make your comments in a little while.
So I will address this again at the end, but after the town hall, just please do know if we're not able to hear from everyone, there is a portal you can provide comments in as well. Each meeting has its own email address, and it will be listed in the portal. You can also leave a voicemail. The way to do that is on the website as well. I'll give you the number right now, as well as 855-925-2801. But you must put in the meeting code. And just please be brief when you're leaving a message. You can also find more information, as you see, it's at publicinput.com/VB elections. So that is an important portal, and I have to admit, I looked at it and it's just absolutely amazing. Your city council and your staff here in the city should be commended. It's an excellent resource. So we will have a video presentation as well. And should we go ahead and cue that up? And this will give us a good background about how we got here. And
Prior to 2022, our local election system remained mostly unchanged since 1967. The city charter defined our local election system as having 11 members. 4 were chosen at large with no residency requirement, including the mayor, and 7 more were elected at large, but had to reside within one of the former districts. The charter also stated that school board members would be elected in the same manner as their city council counterparts. In November 2017, a lawsuit was filed against the city. The suit alleged that the at-large system violated the Federal Voting Rights Act by diluting the voting power of minorities. Specifically, the plaintiffs contended that the former voting system diluted the voting strength of a coalition of Black, Hispanic, and Asian minority groups. The city defended the lawsuit, contending that no single minority group was large and compact enough to constitute a majority within a single voting district. The city also asserted that it was not reasonable to combine Black voters with Asian and Hispanic voters, since Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act did not authorize combining minority groups, and that the three minority groups specifically mentioned do not vote cohesively as one group. While the lawsuit was pending, the Virginia General Assembly considered and adopted legislation that would require changes to the election system, regardless of the outcome of the case. House Bill 2198 made it so that localities with district or ward-based residency requirements for members of a governing body must elect its members by the qualified members of that district or ward, and not by the locality at large. Further, House Bill 1890 and Senate Bill 1395, known as the Virginia Voting Rights Act, clarified that any at-large method of election shall not be imposed by the governing body in a manner that impairs the ability of a protected class to elect candidates of its choice or its ability to influence an election. Both pieces of legislation also apply to school boards. In March of 2021, the district court said that the city's voting system violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The court concluded that the coalition claims were legally permissible and that the minority groups specifically mentioned in the case were politically cohesive. The court prohibited the city from using the former system in any future elections. Following the March 2021 ruling of the district court, a special master created new election district maps for the city using data from the 2020 census, ensuring they were equally populated. They were drawn in a manner that, in the court's view, would allow a sufficient majority of minority populations to facilitate the election of minority groups' candidates of choice, including the creation of 3 minority opportunity districts. Under the new 10-1 system, 10 city council members and 10 school board members are elected from each of the districts. Only the mayor continues to be elected at large and can reside anywhere in the city. The city appealed the district court's decision to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. In July of 2022, a 3-judge panel ruled that the lower court erred in its decision and vacated the district court's decisions and remedy. This decision left the city free to consider options other than the 10-1 system in future elections. However, it was too late to effectively implement a new system in time for the November 2022 election cycle. In November of 2022, residents went to the polls and cast their votes for the city council and school board candidates of their choice using the 10-1 system that had been ordered by the district court. 161,753 ballots were cast, and the outcome was the election of the city's most diverse slate of representatives. Since the court order that implemented the 10-1 system is no longer in effect, and the former system of electing local representatives is still on the books in the city charter, it became apparent that City Council would need to formally adopt a new method in time for the 2024 elections. In order to ensure that residents had a say in the direction that City Council opts to pursue, they passed a resolution in December of 2022 to begin a community engagement campaign to educate and inform residents on what legally viable options are available for the city. Following the community engagement period, Virginia Beach residents will be asked to participate in a survey in April. A random sampling of residents will receive a survey in the mail. However, an online version will be available to all residents, with results shared with council and the community this summer. In conclusion, a decision on our election system must be made by City Council in time for the 2024 election. Thank you for joining us today. This is your opportunity to provide input on city policy development and decision-making.
So that's your journey so far. And now we are going to kick off. This is the inaugural listening session. There will, as you may have heard, there are going to be 10 in person and 2 virtual. So let's get to it. Here's how we're going to handle the speaking format for in person and almost entirely the same way for our virtual guests tonight. You have already signed up either online or when you arrived. We're going to hear your name called. 2 names are going to be called at once so that we don't have a lag with people trying to get around or people to get up to the mic. I'll be over at the mic to assist you. Charnel will be here to remind people whose names have been called when their time to speak begins. There will be 3 minutes for you to speak. And the friendly folks at the desk that checked you in, they're going to let me know when you're getting near 3 minutes. And I'll just give you a high sign in case you're going to run over. We need to do that so everyone that wants to speak tonight has an opportunity because we have a hard stop at the end of the 90 minutes. When you finish speaking, you can go back to your seat. If the reason why you came tonight was to just speak and not to listen, then you're welcome to leave if you wish. And we ask if you are not speaking, but you would like to have some input, don't react to any speaker coming up. That tends to intimidate other speakers. So no clapping or other sound effects. But if you agree with someone and you are not speaking, if you want to raise your hand, we're going to be capturing that as well so that we know that that was something that you believed was a correct comment to go into the public record. So 3 minutes, your name will be called to the mic, and no sound effects from those that are listening. So let's get started.
All right, good evening. Our first speaker is Edward Lamb, and after Edward Lamb will be Melissa Lukeson.
Wasn't expecting to go first, but so I'm here to support the 10-1 voting system. The results of the last election support the 10-1 system. As the video mentioned, the most diverse city council we've ever had, perhaps the highest participation. A lot of votes were cast. The only reason this is still an open question is that the established powers that be on the city council want to return to at-large election of as many members as possible. And I won't go off on a tangent of racism here, but I will address 2 of the spoken out loud objections to the 10-1 system. One is that people are concerned, including my current councilman, Josh Schulman, has said that it's important to have council members who represent the entire city. Well, no. Council members should represent the districts that send them to the council. That should be their number 1 priority. To the extent that citywide concerns do come up, every city council member has to balance the district concerns against the citywide concerns already. So that's a completely moot point on both considerations. Another concern is that people say that the 10-1 system is confusing. Well, we've already had a 10-1 election. People figured it out. It got done. And the results were good. Are we going to forget in 2024? No, that's ridiculous. There is no confusion. Going back to more at-large elections would be confusing. So don't even start with the confusing part. And the last concern is that when people say citywide representation on the council, they don't mean citywide. They mean development at the ocean front, condos along the bayfront, more and more development at town center. They aren't talking about citywide concerns. So, just stop with the lying about that. The entire point is to get more at-large voting for council members, which is undemocratic, unrepresentative, and just needs to stop.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Melissa Lukeson, and after Melissa Lukeson is Gary McCollum.
Why am I here instead of one of the many events happening around the city today? Because we have members of city council who know if they can't control how we vote in our local elections, they won't be able to secure their seats in 2024. The voters spoke in November when we elected the youngest, most diverse body in the history of the city. Speaking of history, did you know the last time our city council asked for public input from the citizens on how we elect our representatives was 1994? And did you know that the council at that time did not favor getting public input because they were not interested in having a more balanced district system? It was the action of the Council of Civic Organizations to force a referendum by collecting 28,000 signatures. A referendum that would disallow voters to vote for every candidate on the ballot. When I moved here, I always thought it was strange that I could vote for every candidate across the city, and I didn't realize the impact of my vote on marginalized communities. In the 1994 referendum that was passed with a clear majority of 52.7%, but the city council didn't like what the majority said, so they worked with their state senator and delegates to subvert the people's will by holding another referendum in 1996. They rewrote the 1994 referendum using ambiguous language to confuse the voter. This is how they worded it. Follow along. If you wish to vote for all 11 council seats, vote yes. If you prefer to vote only for 5 of the 11 council seats, vote no. As a voter in District 6, I should not have sway or say in any other district. I do not want Bay Colony voters or District 6 voters, my own district, voting on who will represent my daughter living in a neighborhood across town in District 7. It has been almost 30 years since this happened, and it took a federal lawsuit to put a fair and balanced voting system in place. And yet again, we have members of the city council trying to overturn the court's decision. Judicial intervention was required to ensure our voices are heard when the city has been breaking the law for 60 plus years, disenfranchising voters who are people of color by violating the Voting Rights Act of 1965 since its inception. Don't allow politicians to tell you they fear tribalism and having some at-large members will prevent that. The reason politicians want some at-large seats is so they can galvanize a specific base of voters to elect the same cronies that have been working for oceanfront developers and special interests. The councilman that currently represents District 9, where we are convened right now, does not support the 10-1 district based on his votes. So if you are a strong proponent of 10-1 and you live in District 9, please be sure to let Josh Schulman know how you feel. And obviously, I very strongly support the 10-1 system.
I'm Gary McCollum, completely agree with the first two speakers. Why are we here? You guys said we were here for public engagement, but let's be clear. The reason why we're here is because the powers that be in Virginia Beach did not like the outcome of last year's election. If the outcome had been what they wanted, we would never have engaged University of Virginia. You wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. But the outcome was not what they wanted. And that's why we're doing this so-called public engagement session over the next several weeks leading up to a referendum in November to try to change things. And I just wanted to be perfectly clear that changing anything other than a 10-1 system is taking us backwards. And it's not just about African Americans or other minorities. It's about marginalized communities in our city. It's not just about race or ethnicity. This is about haves and have-nots. In other words, if I have an at-large system or a 7-3-1 system or whatever combination you come up with, the money that it takes to run in that election is way more than what it would take to run in a 10-1 system. Let's give some evidence to that. Jennifer Rouse ran in District 10. She spent $20,000 and won. Her opponent outspent her 9-1, over $180,000, but she won because she only had to campaign in 10 or 12 precincts. If she had to run in 109 precincts or 35 precincts or whatever number, the money would be influencing that election. And the developers and the moneyed interests in Virginia Beach have been influencing elections since the 60s. That's why we're here tonight, because they did not like what happened in November of last year. Two other things. It's not just about the money. It is about representation. Why should someone in Bird Neck telling somebody in Burton Station what should be done in their community? Why should a voter someplace way over in the eastern part, Sandbridge, tell somebody over off of Newtown Road what should be done in their schools? That's what this is all about. 10-1 is about representation, electing those people who are going to be concerned about the issues in their community. And the last point I'll make is it's about equity. You've heard it already. What happened in November of 2022 gave us the most diverse city council in the history of the city. And I'm not just talking about from a ethnicity point of view. I'm talking about age. I'm talking about just diverse experiences. It worked. Why would you change something that has worked? I learned a long time ago, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Thank you for your comments.
Our next speaker is Georgia Allen, and after Georgia Allen is Susan Potter.
Greetings. I'm here to speak in favor of the 10-1 district election system. I support the system because it provides every citizen with full representation, regardless of income, regardless of zip code, race, creed, or color. It also provides an opportunity for our young people to run for office, get elected, and serve without big money controlling the vote. It affords the city the opportunity to have new voices, creative and innovative voices and thoughts for both the now as well as the next generations. Those who are coming behind us should and must have a seat at the table without having to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars just to be a public servant. This system affords all citizens that opportunity. I strongly support the 10-1 district voting system. Thank you.
I'm Susan Potter. I'm going to make a short remark from here.
We need you at the microphone so the people watching can hear you on the live stream.
There you go.
Let's show.
Here's your banner.
Okay, this is the voting map. He'll figure it out. Yep. I think here. All right, does this count on my 3 minutes? Can I start? I start. Thank you, ma'am. We're in District 9 right now, which is Bayside. We have 3 peninsulas on this map. 1, 2, 3, Great Neck. And Bayside is here. And in district, I support 10-1, but I want to say, I think there are slight changes that should be made to this map. And in this area, the biggest change that should be made, and it's rather obvious, is that this is the western branch of the Lynn Haven River. You will see that portions of Bayside and portions of Little Neck, this are combined, and the map goes along on either side of the water. And the reason for that is that Lewis Jones passed away a few months ago, and he was a city council member, and John Moss, who was not reelected, lived within a few houses of him, literally. That's what's possible under this map, is that people live a block or 2 away, and 2 of them are on our 11-member city council. So they drew the map with this great big exception here to accommodate both of those folks, one of whom sadly passed away, and one of whom was not reelected. So that line needs to be straightened out at a minimum. Not only did we have in Bayside Two people that lived a couple blocks apart, we actually, under the old at-large system, had four school board members, I kid you not, who lived within about a half a mile of each other. 4 out of 11. 4. Now, when you have 4 members that live right close to each other, 3 other districts, because each of these districts is 10% of the population, were deprived of a school board member. What were those districts? Those districts were now districts 4, 7, and 10, which have been habitually unrepresented or underrepresented. In the 52 years between 1966 and 2018, we had 6 people of color, I guess that would be 6, elected to city council. None of them were ever reelected. We had 5 blacks and 1 Filipino. One of those, 2 of the Black members were my city council member. I've lived in Virginia. I'm from Northern Virginia, I'm from Alexandria, but I've lived in the same house in Kempsville for 31 years now. And my one city council member whom I really liked was Amelia Ross Hammond. So she was miraculously, I suppose, under this at-large system, elected. And then she could not get reelected because Kempsville voted for her and everybody else vetoed her. And that should not be allowed to happen. We need full representation, and this map, with a few changes, ensures that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ernest Johnson. After Ernest Johnson will be Bob Catlin.
Hi, I'm speaking into the mic. I'm Ernest Johnson. I go by Skip. I've lived here since 1962, before Virginia Beach became a city. I've been through all the coronations and variations and everything going on. I agree with the previous speakers. The 10-in-1 gives us the best representation for people in this city, and it also divides where the impact of who can do money and things of that nature, it equalizes that whole situation. So I'm totally in favor of it and everything else. So I ditto everybody before me.
Thank you.
Good evening. The previous speakers have made a number of good points about the advantages of the 10-1 system. I really don't have a presentation, I have a question. And that is, as I understand it right now, it's a choice between 10-1 or the old system, which was 7-3 and 1. And are those the only options? I don't know. Are there other options on the table? For example, an 8-2 and 1. That's all I have. I just had a question about, are we limited to 2 options or are there more?
And thank you for bringing those questions. We won't answer any questions, but those questions will definitely be noted. It's important that you ask them. And again, there is an email that you all can use with questions, as well as a portal. So, but thank you, Sarah, for asking those questions.
Our next speaker is Richard Davis, and after Richard Davis is Philip Kearley. Okay, our next speaker is Philip Kearley, and after Philip Kearley is Wally Damon.
Hi, my name's actually Philip Curley. That's okay. And I have a question that I would like Josh to answer, and he knows how to get a hold of me, but I would like to put it out there for everybody to kind of consider. And that is, I'd like to know what, if any evidence there is that a direct council type of system that we have now has resulted in any kind of issues anywhere else in terms of some bad outcomes for a city where there was district representation and things didn't work out well. The waterworks didn't work, the whatever. I am in favor of the 10-1 system because I think it is the fairest way to govern a large and diverse city. And we are that. We can no longer have an at-large system. because, you know, this is the largest city in Virginia in terms of population. So tell me where it hasn't worked well. And maybe I'll change my mind a little bit about having some at-large representation on council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Mr. Damon?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Wally Damon. I live here in Virginia Beach on that road right there, Greenwell Road, right across Shore Drive. I've lived here just about all of my life, starting with first grade at Shelton Park Elementary School. I am for the 10-1 system. We got to try it. Let's see how we do with it. But I do have a question though. Will any change become a part of our city charter? That's important for me to find out.
And again,
Okay.
you put the question out there. I can't answer questions.
But are they going to
We
write
can't-
that question
So
down? Will I
it
get an
was going to
answer
be
to it?
noted as part of the whole project. So, and I'm sure your council
All right,
will
thank you.
get back to you.
Our next speaker is Barbara Evard, and after Barbara Evard is Herbert Hughes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, then our next speaker is Herbert Hughes. And after Herbert Hughes would be Andrea Linderman.
Okay, Andrew, you're next.
I'd also like to speak in favor of the 10-1 system. I feel like even in this short time, I feel like I've noticed a difference of people feeling like they can turn to their council member, feeling a part of their district, which I didn't feel with before. And I just think that's something so interesting that in such a short time, we can feel that already, which I think is what it's all about. We keep hearing from city council that they want civic engagement, they want to have all of this interaction. Well, we feel it already. So I'm very much in favor of the 10-1 system. I want to echo what other people had to say about because I heard this during the election from at least one candidate saying that they would not have been able to fund a campaign, even if we're talking about super wards. We want grassroots people, and we want to make sure that they have, lots of people have the money to be able to represent if that's what they want to do. I have one other thing I wanted to say. Anyway, so I really agree with everything that everybody else has said, and I just really feel strongly that 10-1 has made a positive change in the city of Virginia Beach already.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Fristacci, and after John Fristacci is Laura Lee Grimm.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'll be the first one to dissent. I do not agree with 10-1. When I went to the polls in November and found that my ability to choose had been so narrowed by the changes in our voting system, I had to ask myself why. Why is it that I can't vote for a panel of representation that would think according to the whole city, not just a pocket of the city? One of the previous speakers pointed to the map and showed lots of little jagged teeth in there. That is classic gerrymandering. It's classic. And the reason for the gerrymandering that happened on that map was to carve all of us up in here so that we could see through a lens of color or other disunifying characteristics. And I don't see us that way. I see us as Americans. I see us as Virginians. I see us as Virginia Beach residents. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Laura Lee Grimm. After Laura Lee Grimm is Michael Weish.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak. I happened to visit more than several polling locations and found that our citizens in Virginia Beach are very bright citizens. And if you tell them where they're going to vote and for whom they're going to vote, they're going to be able to do it. And I found a wealth of individuals who really were excited, just as a lady with the gorgeous smile who spoke about how happy people feel when they're voting. I firmly believe the 10-1 system enfranchises. It makes sure people can vote for whom they represent. But I do have several questions. I think that we don't know as a city much about the two laws that were passed in 2021 that actually negate the reference of talking about an at-large system that could still be in place. And so I think would like for the city to educate us on more on those bills. I also wonder what will happen, since in the presentation we just saw, the indication was that they wanted to have the charter changed by 2024. Well, I'm not suggesting that we would lose one of our council members to death or sudden illness, but what if someone had to change their job? How would that person in 2023, this very year that we are now in what system would they be elected? If they have not been elected we just finished electing, they would be in an old system. How would we choose to do that? There is not sufficient guidance from anyone, and we need to have that clarified for us too. I would also wonder, on the flyer that we all got, it ends with, additionally, the city will receive a report from the election system experts summarizing their research findings. I certainly would like for the city to explain to us who the election system experts are. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that our voter registration office was not involved and cannot be involved, because our job is not to make the districts, but simply implement them. So I wonder what we will be doing in that manner for that to occur. There are many other questions that exist, but the one thing that is important that we remember that we are here, we are electing representatives to represent us, and they need to represent us proportionately. And finally, when technical changes are made in the boundaries that were drawn by a person who does not even know our city. Another example would be the Vibe District, which some of you know has been really touted as an affirming, growing thing. That was divided in half. One of the district lines, so that they could be met, had to go down a power line, and people had to go from one place to the other. The city did send postcards out to us, and I'm sorry the gentleman who just spoke didn't realize that it had been changed. But we need to focus on what's best for all of us, and the way we do that is in a 10-1 district. And I'll submit questions like you told me to do.
Yes, thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Weich, and after Michael Weich is TJ Morgan.
Hello, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I'm here in support of the 10-1 system, as it gives everybody an equal opportunity to have their representation, and also gives them the chance and opportunity to run for office. In addition to that, I did also want to recommend possibly having a poll at either the Williams Recreation Center or possibly Kempsville Elementary or Middle School when election time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. I want to speak in favor of the 10-1 system. Thomas Jefferson said that the best government is the government closest to the people. So I believe that very strongly. If you know, maybe you didn't, but I ran for city council in this district. And as a middle-class guy, I would never have been able to afford to be able to run in an at-large system. So it gave me the opportunity to really get out there and utilize my funds. If people checked on VPAP what my contributions were, they were all grassroots. They were from people that I was friends with, that maybe I coached their sons, or something of that nature. So I feel very strongly that we need to keep the 10-1. The gerrymandering that was done, that was very obvious to me when I first saw the new lines. I knew why it was done, and I just feel like that's That's what we don't need. That needs to be fixed. So I'm in favor of the 10 and 1, and I think that that's what we need to keep. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ella Dunbar, and after Ella Dunbar, I have no more registered in-person speakers.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to say that I really want us to keep the 10 and 1. I grew up in a marginalized community, surrounded by other communities that had a whole lot that we did not have. In my neighborhood, we're just a couple of blocks off of Virginia Beach Boulevard, off of Old Great Neck Road. And I think we didn't even get our street paved for the first time until the 90s. And the city of Virginia Beach told us that, you know, even though our parents signed petitions, they told us that our street was a private driveway. Our street with 8 or 9 houses on it is a private driveway. But across the street in Pointer Woods, down the street in Chesapeake Colony, further on down to Wolfsnare, they had everything. Their streets were never even allowed to crack. And I grew up on a dirt road a few blocks from Virginia Beach Boulevard. They didn't even get city water until the 90s. And so I stand here to say, I know what our neighborhood had that all my schoolmates took for granted. Living on a street that does not have city water, living on a street, starting college in a neighborhood, the majority of people still had outhouses. And folks wouldn't believe that's what's going on in Virginia Beach. And if you want to see evidence of marginalized neighborhoods and what various people get, we're standing here in this recreation center, in this area, where most people can get anywhere they want to go. The new remodeled one, Bow Creek, sitting in the middle of a neighborhood where people can go anywhere they want to go, don't have to worry about transportation. The Kentsville Recreation Center, same thing. The Great Neck Recreation Center, beautiful. But if you go down to Bird Neck Road and look at what that community has, they have a little teeny dinky thing. Forget about, you know, they don't have what everybody else has. And I know one excuse they said was, well, when they asked the people what they wanted, they mostly wanted meeting rooms. When you don't even know what's available to you, people don't even know what to ask for. But you do know what you don't see in your neighborhood that you see everywhere else. And for anybody that showed up, because I was at the polls this past fall, you know, the last election, and a lot of people came in because the airways go out to everybody. And so people see this Democrat's running, this Republican's running. And they came in expecting to be able to vote for that person. But they only had one thing on that ballot because their city council person was not up for reelection. So that's why you see what was coming up in your area. If your city council person was not up for reelection, then maybe the only thing you had to vote for was Elaine Loria or Ms. Kagan. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Thank you, everyone that's in the room, and I guess we'll have to go to the virtual.
So at this time, I don't have any virtual speakers.
All right.
If I may just,
Yes.
for the purposes of anyone who is listening on the phone, you will have to hit star and select menu item 3 if you would like to speak. But right now I show no one has requested to speak online.
Okay, thank you. So we still have time. So is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
Good evening. My name's Robert Dean. I'm a former member of City Council, and I was on council when this went before the Justice Department in 1996. And what they found after studying the entire city was that there was no minority district that could be carved out as its own borough at that time. And then, as somebody else stated earlier, it did go to Richmond and when it went to this subcommittee in the Senate, there were 2 senators that killed it, and that was Clancy Holland and Ken Stoley. They were both on it. So this goes back quite a few years. I did want to clear up just a couple items that was mentioned here, and that was there was never a black reelected. Well, the first black was John Perry, John died in office. And that was the situation there. The other thing on the recreation centers, as far as any implications of anything that was going on there with racial differences or boundaries, those rec centers went out to a referendum. The first time went out, it was in 83. It was defeated. Then it came back in 84 and it passed because of the amount of money. So then at that same time, I believe the Bird Neck, a neighborhood, they wanted their own meeting places. That's what it was. It was for after school and all that. And that's all they asked for at the time. And I'm sure if they had asked for a full, rec center, they probably could have gotten it. But it had to have been part of the referendum. And the Betty F. Williams Rec Center was not on a referendum. And I think I see some heads shaking, but it was not on the referendum. So I worked on the referendum, tried to get it passed. Let me think. I think that is about it. The 10-1 is the way to go, in my opinion, but everybody needs to be cognizant of the fact that Alabama has a Supreme Court case right now pending. We're supposed to hear about it on, I think it's April or May. That will come back under the Voter Rights Act, and that will have major implications. But right now, there's only one system in Virginia Beach, and that's 10-1. And as far as the charter goes, that normally requires a referendum by the citizens of Virginia Beach. Then it has to go through the General Assembly. So, and the issue of not being able to vote citywide, you can only vote for one member of the General Assembly on the House side and only one for the Senate. So you can't vote for every member of the House. It just doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Vicky Kelly. I just want to put my voice in favor of 10-1, in support of 10-1. Everything's been said. I've learned so much. I mean, great points everyone's making. I just also want to speak in favor of election integrity and hope that we will get rid of our ballot drop boxes. I think there's no need for them. They don't serve any purpose. They don't need to be there. So anything we can do to, however we're voting, 10-1 or anything else, if our elections aren't fair and valid, then everything we're doing goes away and it winds up being someone's special interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kat Porterfield. It's a beautiful evening, one of the prettiest days we've had so far this year. If you had an opportunity to get outside, I wanted to, but this thing was happening and I couldn't not come here. So we should all be doing something outside in the clean, salty air. But we're here. We're here because a handful of council members have decided the city needed to spend $300,000 to hire this amazing organization, and they are amazing, albeit expensive, to ask us again if the 10-1 system, the system that gave us the most diverse, and by diverse, I mean representative, city council in our history, is what we really want. Is this what we really want, 10-1? That's right. They are here because they want us to reconsider a voting system, a good one, that has already been federally and state approved. If you're thinking they could have just amended our charter to be in compliance with the law rather than host these pricey meetings, you're onto something. The next question to ask yourself is why? On the slimy underside of this fight is a group of powerful residents who really want an all-at-large council and are already using deceptive language to trick Virginia Beach voters into thinking more choices equals better representation. Theoretically, and you've heard this tonight from others, a system like that could produce a council with a majority coming from the same part of the city, leaving no real representation for the rest of the city. The power and the decision-making could be concentrated among neighbors, buddies, cronies, and those who can easily fund a campaign or have friends who can. The 10-1 system levels the playing field. So, if you are here to engage the citizens in a discussion, let's not let anyone dance around the truth. The 10-district system more accurately represents the needs and interests of every Virginia Beach resident, not diluting minority votes and giving residents a dedicated representative on the city council. We are watching this system in action, and it's working. How many more millions of taxpayer dollars are they willing to waste in what appears to be a fight against representative democracy? They are fighting to hang on to an antiquated system that serves special interests and not citizens.
Hello, my name is Edwina Bergano, and ditto to the speaker before me. It's time that we move on. I was surprised. I'm a resident of Virginia Beach for 39 years. And when I first came here, I can't believe we're voting at large. Are we antiquated? What's going on here? We are a city of Virginia Beach residents. We need to be represented, and it's time. It's time to move on. It's time for the change for the future. So I'm so happy to see citizens here engaged, because I didn't know if 5 people would show up, but I'm glad you're here. That means we care. And you know, I want to represent the Filipino American community, which is a growing community, and we should be represented as well. So thank you for your thoughts. Thanks.
I am Kathy Damon. I just want to say that I think it's important that we do what we can be proud of in Virginia Beach, and I am thankful for a forum like this that allows us again to speak our minds and to show that we are concerned and that we do know what's going on. And I think that it will help us forever to be proud of what we do and to show integrity and inclusion for our city.
Hi, my name is Erica Gass, and I just wanted to thank Josh Schulman, District 9's City Council representative, for being here tonight and listening to everyone. I'm so glad to see that City Council is following through on this engagement project and doing the work and listening. Just also wanted to voice my support in the my support of the 10-1 system. I'm really happy to see so many people here who are in agreement. I think everybody tonight has made great points. I also just wanted to say along the lines of TJ's remarks that I was a candidate in the November election, and it would have been exponentially more difficult in terms of fundraising and my personal stamina to have run at large. Virginia Beach is a big city, and that's a lot of precincts to cover. And as a political newcomer who is even less middle class than TJ, it would have been really tough. So I'm grateful for the 10-1 system. Thank you.
Jan Taylor, I am so glad to be here, and thank you again, Mr. Schulman, for having this forum. I wanted to say that I am in favor of the 10-1 system. I feel that it does give the Virginia Beach residents an opportunity to have full representation. I was blessed enough to be able to be on the ground working with some wonderful people in support of their campaigns this year. And it also gives us, just in the background, grassroots opportunity to get involved and help with your own district. It was wonderful to be a part of that. So I want to see the system continue. I want to see all the people, the citizens here smiling and happy about what Virginia Beach has become and what we can be in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Right. All right. And well, I'm going to just again review the process, and there will be 11 more listening sessions. The next one actually is tomorrow. It's virtual, and if anybody can find out information on the website. Yet again, I'm going to repeat that. There will be a survey again that was mentioned in the video. It's going to be a random survey that we sent out. But if you don't get the survey, anyone can go on the website and fill out the survey and answer those questions there. And the city council will be given findings as well as some options that they can consider as well before they decide what to do next. And again, I would like to also thank again the Councilman Schulman for being here and joining us this evening. Please spread the word about the fact that this is happening. I will say, I think this is extraordinary for your council to do. It's not often that council decides they'll have 12 listening sessions across the beach, which is Virginia Beach area, which is, as you all noted, very large. And it's very important that everyone engages. And I'll turn it over to Jane if she has anything to add as well.
We've done a lot of work with many jurisdictions in Virginia and actually beyond Virginia at the Weldon Cooper Center of UVA. And I want to underline what Charnel just said. We are so impressed by the commitment of your city council and the professional staff that works for you to set up this engagement. Their intent the entire time we were planning was let the citizens be heard. So rest assured, we do have that comparison that we can give you feedback. Also tonight, thank you for everyone that came up to the mic, for keeping on time. We really appreciate that.
Thank you all. Have a good evening and thank everybody on the stream.